everyone, Andrei from CFX Films here, and I have another tutorial for you guys today. Now, it's been a while, and if you've been following my channel, you know I've been having some issues with my hard drives. I had 2 of them fail, so it was 4 terabytes of data, but I am back now, and I am super glad to be finally releasing another tutorial. And I hope you guys are going to like this one, because this is something that is relevant to one of the games that I'm working on currently. I've actually been working on a large title for the past year, and I haven't announced it yet, but I've written millions of lines of code, and I have a lot of different techniques that I've learned, and I'm going to try and teach you guys them as I go, and hopefully without spoiling what my game actually is. We're going to cover how to make basically a security system. Or a security camera monitoring system. So you can actually walk up to a computer screen, you can activate, and then it will load up all the different security cameras that are available, and then you can select a button and it'll switch between the different cameras. So it's relatively simple, but if you guys want to make something that is Unity 5 optimized, and I don't know if you're making a maybe like a Five Nights at Freddy's type of game, you know, this is pretty similar to that. So right here, I have just a simple scene. I built a couple different setups. I have this first room, which is sort of like a little industrial space. I have a little office here with this desk. And then I have, this is the spot where I placed the standard FPS controller that comes with Unity 5, as you can see here. And this is just a little monitor screen that we're going to add the script to, or I mean the tag. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to add the cameras. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here in Game Object. We're going to select camera, and let's position the first one. I like this spot right here. So we're going to make sure the camera's selected. We're going to go up here to Game Object, and then we're going to click Align with View, which automatically aligns it with, as you can see down there, right where the exact camera transform is. So the position and the rotation. All right, and we're going to name this, I guess we'll just keep it camera 1. We're going to duplicate it, call that one camera 2. Let's position it right here. Let's make the depth 5, so it's higher. Actually, we can just set it to 1, so it appears above the other camera for just in case we ever have both of them enabled at the same time. So if they do end up getting enabled at the same time, camera 2 is going to have priority. So let's change the field of view, make it seem more like a security camera. Clipping planes, let's bring it forward a bit. I like that. Let's do that. All right, let's disable it. Go back to camera 1. Same thing with the field of view. Right there. Tilt it down maybe a little bit. All right, cool. So we have camera 1 and camera 2. We're going to disable them both. And I imported the free Unity stack post-processing that they have available in the asset store. And I made a couple different profiles. One is for the player. So let's add, let's delete the script. We're going to go to camera 1, and we're going to select the same thing. Actually, let's add post-processing behavior. We're going to select security camera alternate. Camera 2, same thing, except we're going to use security camera. Cool. So if we enable it really quick, all right, so now it's got that security camera feel to it. See, this is the before and after. You can see the difference there. And the reason why it looks green is because I had the custom LUT effect. I used one that I had in a previous package. I imported into this project specifically. So you won't have it, but it doesn't really matter. You can mess around with the colors on your end and make it look however you want. But in this case, I added the grain effect. So you could actually make it look like it's on a security camera. All right, we have the first 3 scenes all set. And now we got to, let's disable that again. Let's create the canvas. So we're going to go over to UI, and then we're going to click canvas. So here we go, blank canvas. We're going to call this security canvas, and we are going to change the scaler to scale with screen size. Reference resolution is going to be 1920 by 1080, standard HD. Make the matching 0.5, which means that it will its center point depending on whatever the screen resolution is going to match it basically divided by 2. So it's going to try and match the width and the height equally whenever it's stretched vertically or horizontally, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. All right, so let's create the different buttons. This is what the player is actually going to be interacting with. Actually, we're going to create a text and then add the button script on top of that. That's easier since I don't want any of the extra button stuff. All right, we're going to call this camo 1, just the text that's going to be displaying. Make it white so you can see it. Let's add a second one, cam 02. I call this cam 1, cam 2, perfect. And ray casting, cool. And then we're going to select both of them, add component, and we're going to add button. Down here, on click, you're going to click plus. And now we need to have a script that actually allows you to switch between the cameras. But really quick, we're going to add one more, and that's going to be the exit button. So you can actually close the window. We're going to call it exit. And just so you can see it a little bit better, let's add a panel and hide it behind them. Make it black so you can see it behind all the other objects. There we go. Maybe a little off-centered. These things are sticking out. There we go. So now you can see them. Make their anchor top left. So depending on whatever your resolution is, for example, 5:4, you can see that they stick on the top left. But as you can see, I did not position the panel, which is why the panel is off right now. So let's go back and position it. All right, not making it scale, anchoring to the top left. Now, no matter what I set it to, the aspect ratio, it's always going to be remaining in perfect positioning, which is exactly what we want. All right, change it back to HD. Now let's disable this because we don't need it right now. And now we're going to go into the coding portion. So the script is going to have to be added to the first person character object, which is by default what Unity's FPS controller uses. Let's find this guy. Where is he? There he is. And let's add it. Now I already made the script. It's empty, so we're going to add the script, the coding together, so you can see me actually writing it. But it's called security cameras or security cams, and this is JavaScript. You can, or Unity script. You can change it to C# very easily. Honestly, there's nothing advanced that I'm going to be writing in this script, and a lot of things that I'm writing in Unity script or JavaScript can very easily be translated into C#. But this is what I had previously in my previous project, which is why I'm carrying it over, and that's why I'm teaching it to you in this version. So we're going to add it, and we're going to open it up. All right, so we have a blank script right now, and let's just set up the basic ray casting variables that we're going to need. So let's make this a public variable. We're going to make this range, set it to 2. So that's the range of the ray that we're going to be casting out from the camera for when you walk up to the screen in order to activate the camera system. So we're going to use the old-fashioned GUI skins and the layer mask. We're going to set this to the first one. And the reason we're going to set this to the first one is so it ignores the default layer, which is the player. So if you don't know what layer masking does, it basically makes it so you can shoot rays and they can pass through certain types of objects, basically so you're not detecting every single thing that the ray hits, but you can actually ignore some. And in this case, we're ignoring the player because you can see up here, the layer is default. We could make it 1, 2, 3, or 5, and we're setting it to 1, which is why we're going to set it to 1 in the script. Easy enough. All right, private variable. Let's do show text comp, and that's going to be our Boolean to decide whether or not we're going to show the pop-up information saying press E to activate or whatever you want it to be. We're going to need a computer click sound. We're going to make that a game object, more control. Security window. This is going to be our canvas. And then security cam 1. And security cam 2. Now, just as easily, we can, instead of making this game object, we could make it a camera which in that case, you would just want to deactivate and activate the actual camera component on the main object. So instead of disabling the game object itself, you could just enable and disable the camera. You could do that too, but honestly, either way works just fine. So we're going to go back to game object. There we go. And that's all the variables we're going to need. So we're not going to need a function start. So we're just going to start with update. And in update, this is where we're going to be handling all the raycasting, or at least the first of the raycasting. So let's do a simple input.get key down. If you press E, and this is important, in order to determine whether or not we are actually in the window, I want to have a player prefs integer that's saved so we can call it at any point in any script at any time. So we're going to do player prefs.getInt, let's say in cutscene, and we got to make sure that's 0. Because if it's 1, that means we're in the window and we don't want pressing E to do anything. And we're going to call a grab function, which we're going to write. Don't worry about it. Now let's go into the next line, which is going to be our raycast. We're going to call this hit, raycast hit, and then the direction of the raycast. And we're going to set that direction to the first person character, which is our main camera. .transform direction vector3 forward, which means it's going to be facing, basically it's going to take our, right here, we're going to take our position and our rotation of the main camera, and then we're going to shoot a beam forward, which is basically exactly where we're facing forward. So it's always going to follow the camera. Pretty standard. It's how most games do it. And now we're going to test if the raycast is hitting anything. So we're going to do if this object hits, let's say, position, direction, ray, hit. We're going to do range because we made our variable up top. And then we're going to do layer mask. So we wanted to ignore the player. And now let's do show text comp equals true. Else we want it to not show the text. There we go. And let's finish up the else statement. Just in case we wanted to say else show text comp false. So basically in any other situation, we just want it to be false. So I am missing one more if statement. If hit.transform.tag is equal to, let's say, security computer. And what this is doing is this is checking if what we hit is actually what we're looking for. In this case, it's going to be the screen. So let's now properly indent this. There we go. So we're going to save it. And now, hopefully that works. Let's move on to the next function. This is going to be on GUI, another standard Unity function built in. If show text comp, and now we're checking again the player prefs, get int in cutscene equals 0. We want to call the skin, and we're going to set that skin to, I'm just going to name a skin instead of skin G. All right, skin. And yep, that's it. And the next line, one more. This is where we're actually going to print our old-fashioned label. Now we could use the new canvas if we wanted to, and that would basically just consist of you accessing the text. So up here we would have to do import Unity engine .ui. That's all you would need to do, so you can access an actual text on a canvas, and then you can make it say whatever you want. But in this case, we're just going to use a normal rect. Let's do 10, 300, and let's make it 500, and 200, not really a big deal. Press E is what we're going to tell it to say. All right, and that's all we're going to need for that. Now, the grab function, another ray casting, another same variables as before. Game object dot find first person character, transform direction. I misspelled transform. Vector 3 dot forward. Cool. Now we're gonna check. Let's actually copy the same variables from before. If you hit, actually, if you hit dot transform dot tag equals security computer, we want to now actually enable the screen. So player prefs dot set int in cutscene is now 1. Security window dot game object dot set active is going to be true. And now we're going to enable the first security camera by default. And now screen.lock cursor equals false and cursor.visible equals true. And we're going to have to do more than just these two lines in order to actually display the cursor and unlock it, because the FPS controller by default actually has a cursor lock function that is always keeping it locked. So we're going to have to disable that, but we'll do that. We'll do that in a minute. All right, and I think we just need one more closing bracket, and that is it. Now, the security cameras. These are the most straightforward functions we're going to use. This is just to enable and disable the cameras, literally. So we're going to access that computer click sound, get the audio source, and we're going to play. And then we're going to call security cam1 dot game object dot set active true, and then we're going to disable security camera 2, and that's all we're going to need. We're going to copy and paste this function and then just switch around the variables. Control C, Control V, very simple. And now the only thing we need left is the exit button. Close cams, we're going to call it. So actually I'm just going to copy and paste those again, and we're going to make them both false. And then now we're going to close the window. So security window dot game object dot active, no, not dot active, that's the old one, dot set active false. Player prefs dot set int in cutscene. We're going to set this to 0, so now you can enable it again. Screen.lock cursor equals true. Cursor.visible equals false. So that's all you're going to need. I believe so. So let's save this. Refresh and see if we get any errors. Okay. We got one error. Let's just check my logic here. This. All right. I think I'm missing another bracket in there. We have that saved. So let's now add it as we already did. And I already made a skin. The only thing that I changed in the skin is actually just the label. So you can change the size of the font, set it at 50. Now we're gonna change the layer mask to 1. Computer click sound. Let's set a empty game object, a child. We're gonna call this computer click. Find the click sound. I imported one already. So we're gonna add an audio source. Set it to the click. Just mess around with the pitch. Lower the volume. That's all we need. And we're going to set that as the variable. Security window is the canvas. camera 1, and camera 2. Great. Now let's go to that screen object that we had earlier. And now let's make a new tag and let's call it security computer. I had that one removed from earlier. And we're going to set this. There we go. Typo on my part. Let's see what I misspelled. Get int. All right. Now, what we have to do is edit the first person controller now. And we're going to make just a few changes to the script. So open up your first person controller script. And we're going to add just a couple variables. We're going to make public a float. No, this is C#, by the way. So we're going to make this save walk speed, and then we're going to make another one for save run speed. Now, first thing we're going to do is saved. This is saved. Let's do saved. Saved walk speed is going to equal m walk speed. And saved run speed is going to equal m run. Why is it not showing up? Hopefully that's right. And basically what this is doing is this is saving the actual speed that you have of the player into a separate variable so we can call it later whenever we need to disable the movement whenever you're in the security camera window. And by default, let's make it so you are not in a cutscene when you're first starting the game. All right, now we're going to go over to update, and first thing we're going to do is in rotate view, we're going to just check the player prefs in cutscene, and we're going to make sure it's equal to 0. Now rotate view is what's going to be accessing the camera. So this is just going to stop rotating the camera if we are in the cutscene. So it'll only, and what this logic is saying is only rotate the view, only call the function if we're not in a cutscene. Pretty simple. And now we just underneath this, we're going to add another player prefs check. Get int in cutscene. If it's 1, then m walk speed is going to equal 0, and m run speed is going to equal 0. And then we're going to do copy and paste that. Else, if it is 0, then we're going to set the walk speed to the saved walk speed from earlier, and then saved run speed. Perfect. Now we're going to go down to fixed update. Now looking for one specific call is down here. Is update cursor lock. So what we want to check here is we want to make sure that we add a check saying the same thing as above in cutscene is equal to 0. Otherwise, don't lock the cursor. Now it's actually going to work because of just these 3 lines right here. Very important. All right, save it. Go into Unity. Refresh. All the errors are going away. Now let's actually set the variables. So let's actually open up the canvas, set camera 1, and we're going to set security cameras to cam 1. Cam 2 is the same thing. Set it to cam 2, and exit is going to be close cams. And I believe that's all we need, but let's test it. All right, running the scene, walking up to the scene. Yep, there you go. E, if you look away. See, nothing's there. Look back, press E. Bam. We have 2 audio listeners in the scene because I forgot to disable it on camera 1 and camera 2, but that's an easy fix. But if you click now, I'm getting an error. All right, let's check what my error is. I have a very simple fix. And make sure I set the right variables. Yeah, I did. Let's get rid of the audio listeners. We don't need those. Let's find out what the error is. Security camera, Game, oh, okay. That is a script. Little typo. Object, and I have it up there too. All right. That, I have it 3 times because I copied and pasted it. I didn't do it up there. All right. Save it again. Check it. Run the program. All right. And there we go. And it works. So you have security camera 1 and 2. You can highlight the buttons, do whatever you want. And if we pressed exit, there you go. It closes. But, okay, we still can't move the player, which means something there is not working, obviously. So we got to make sure that everything's enabling okay. When you press the exit button, we are setting, into cutscene, not in cutscene. Now it's going to work. Play it one more time. Walk up to the screen, press exit. There we go. And everything works just fine. The range is set to 2 and everything works great. So with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. I think that is all you're going to need for this tutorial. Very simple security camera system. I hope you found this helpful. And I hope you can use it in your own games because now you have it integrated with your first-person controller. And honestly, the only reason I'm making the changes to the first-person controller script is because they have camera motion and cursor lock already built in with their own functions. So you won't have to make all those changes if you're using your own script, but you can apply the same methods. So just using player prefs works really well, and it works across all platforms. So you shouldn't have any issues if you're doing that. So with that, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I'm glad to be back. I can't wait to be making more tutorials and telling you guys more techniques and how to make your games even better in Unity, and hopefully, some other programs too, which I'll be starting shortly. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.